Hi, if you've been a reader of my Party Craft blog for any time at all, you know I love teal. And any of my video series would not be complete without an offering in teal. Now this is actually a little bit of a complicated card, so I've done it in steps to simplify the demo for you. The products that we'll be using include a new die from the Couture Creations range, and this one's called Celestial. It's absolutely beautifully detailed. Another one of the die sets I love is the Twisted Metal Tags and Accents from Spellbinders. This is part of their designer collection from Samantha Walker. And I'm going to be using my Interlocking Circles embossing folder. This is available through Creative Expressions. So let's set these aside and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is use the Celestial die and cut an aperture in my teal card. So we're going to get our sandwich ready. And this is our cutting plate. We're going to put our die face down in the center of our card, and we're going to cut it. Now the detail on this die is exceptional. So I have gone ahead and cut one for the center ahead of time. And we'll just use this one for the aperture. Let's see if it needs another pass. That looks good. I think we've done it. Let's just take that off carefully. And like I said, I need this for the white that I'm going to put in the center of it. I've already cut one, so we don't have to wait and have me clean that out. In the meantime, I'm going to add some embossing to my aperture. So to do that, I'm taking the Interlocking Circles folder, and I want to line this up. Take a couple of seconds and get it straight so that I have even circles all the way around. So I'm actually going to close it. See how it looks. I think I've got about the same width on both sides there. And then I'm going to tape it into place. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm adding some PVA glue dots to the outside, so it's going to draw attention if it's off. Put that there, close that, and let's get the other plates that we need for our sandwich. I'm going to put it onto our base plate. I've got a shim for the center and the raspberry plate on top. Run this through. And let's see how it looks. Gorgeous. Gently pull your tape up and remove it. And remember, that's actually gotten embossed with your card there, so be very slow about it. Okay, so you can see the beautiful embossing coming through on your aperture now. And when you add the glue dots later on, it'll really bring that out. Now, one of the things that I'm doing with this one is I'm going to do a technique I call insertion. So turn it upside down and take the die. Now, I've cut this one in a white color, and I'm going to put it back into place where I took the original teal one out. And to do this, you just want to tape it back into place. And I'm not going to do all of this because I've prepared one ahead of time, but just catching that edge, go around and tape it back into place, and so you'll have a die that looks like this on the back, and you can see all my Scotch tape. I've just caught the edge of that to make sure it's secure all the way around. So it looks like it's been inlaid back into the original aperture. It's very pretty. I'll set this one aside, and I have a little more cutting to do because we are going to add the twisted metal tags to this. Let me get a hold of that. So get my cutting plate back. Put that on there, and I'm going to cut that out. Now this is a really detailed die, and it's very fine and filigree, so I've added a piece of wax paper in there. That will allow it to pop out of the die relatively easy. In fact, we'll just go over and back, make sure it cuts. And you can take time and run it through the embossing stage when you're doing your card, but just for the demonstration, I'm just going to do the cutting. And this has a centerpiece that pops out right away, so you can use that on something else. And take my tape off, my wax paper, remove all of this, set it to the side. Pop that down there. And I'm going to use a little pokey tool to get this started, just to loosen up the pieces in this and get my finger underneath it. Right, there we go. Should be able to tease this out of the die now very, very easily. And you'll see it's really, really fine and filigree. So you don't want to pull too hard on it. Remove the wax paper and pop out the little pieces. Isn't that beautiful? It's one of my favorites. Now, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to add a little bit of Cosmic Shimmer glue to it, and I find there's a couple little spots in this Celestial die I can add the tip of it. So right about there and right about there. Really, really pretty like that. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on both tips, and I'm going to pop it into place. Just fits perfectly. And that's one of the things you can do with your die cuts, is just play about and see what fits with something else. And there, oops, knocked it apart. Let's give it a second for the glue to set up. Now I've gone ahead and I've prepared a background piece, and I've stamped my sentiment. Now, rather than having to fuss about and not be sure if it matches, I thought it would be easier if I just set it in there and lined it up. And I think it's going to match perfectly, so I'm just going to go ahead and tape it into place. You could have even done this on a different color if you want something else showing through the background. It'd be very pretty that way too, but I decided to do just the white on the white. There we go. And I've got some mounting foam, so I'm going to secure the background piece with that over my sentiment. And that should be good and set up. And we'll just pop this into place. Now, I may have to lean into the shot just a tiny bit to make sure I'm straight, but that looks good. Oh, how pretty is that? I think we could maybe finish that off with a couple of pearls top and bottom, and I'll show you how I pierce the edges. Let me get a hold of my pearls, and we'll put, how about if we just put one here and one there? I think it just cries out to have a little bit of bling. That finishes that off really nicely. Now you can see I've already added my PVA glue dots. I went ahead and put a white glue dot on all of the interlocking areas, and I think that really draws your eye in. So pretty. So I'll set that aside for a moment, and I'll show you how I've done the piercing around the edge. Now I like to finish my cards this way. It's just something that kind of has a signature feel to it, to me, and it's something I've done for a while. I get people asking all the time how I do it. Now I use the Creative Expressions piercing ruler, and if you see, there's little tiny holes all along the ruler there, and that's what your Pokey Tool is going to go through. So the way I do it is I'll take my card, and whatever size card you need, it doesn't matter. You don't have to start with a set size at all. But I try to use it so that the lines, the thicker of the lines going up like this will center on either side of my card. So here's one here, and that one is there. And if they're off a little bit, I just try to even them out so that they're equidistant. And then I line the edge of that ruler up with the edge of my card. And then I take a stick pin and I poke them through 2 holes in, 1, 2, on either side. And then using my Pokey Tool and holding the ruler with my hand also, I just poke it through each of the holes and work it along. And if I need to move my hand along, I make sure that that Pokey Tool is still down in the ruler and continue on. Now, when I get close, I move this one out of my way, and holding that ruler very firmly, you don't want it to move, I continue on until I hit that hole. Okay? Take those out. turn the corner, and you're going to start right back where you started or where you left off in that hole. Move the ruler again to the end and start 2 holes in. Same exact method. And I think this gives a really beautiful edge to my cards. And it's kind of relaxing too, I think. There's something just, I don't know, just says all that nice work and we're going to frame it. And I just love the way it looks. Now, if you're looking for a Pokey tool, there are lots of them on the market. You do need one that has a 1 millimeter diameter needle on it to go through the ruler. You can find them smaller. It's going to make a smaller hole, but this gives a really lovely size, and it's quite easily seen, I think. Now, I would go around and finish the whole entire card and meet up in that last hole, but I think you get the idea. So you can see what a beautiful way to finish your cards using your glue dots. You have your insertion method here with a beautifully detailed die. I've got the sentiment framed with another beautiful die and a really pretty card all the way around. I do hope you've enjoyed this video.